What the ROI of her mother?
What?
I'm the CEO and founder of a 7-figure business, and today I'm reacting to some TikTok business advice. Let's go.
What's the number one reason 80% of businesses fail in the first 36 months? It's called CAC, customer acquisition costs. These companies are never able to get their customer acquisition costs below the lifetime value of the customer. A fancy way of saying they go bankrupt advertising. Until you figure out your CAC, the cost of acquiring a customer, you can't be profitable. Think about it. The minute you do figure it out and it's sustainable, investors like me come in pouring gasoline on the fire because you figured out how to grow the business. You just need cash. Once you figure out CAC, you go to the moon.
Let me illustrate why this is so cool, okay? So you have your customer acquisition cost, okay? And the way to calculate that is just gonna be marketing and sales divided by total customers. So let's say you spent $10,000 on marketing and sales and you acquired 100 customers, then your customer acquisition cost was $100, okay? Because you spent 10,000, you got 100, your customer acquisition cost was $100, okay? That's important, okay? Your customer acquisition cost. Your LTV, lifetime value of a customer, meaning how much is this person gonna be worth to you over the time that you've got them, okay? And let's say that number, let's call it 10,000, okay? 10,000. That's LTV, that's not average spend. So LTV could be that somebody buys something from you 20 times over the next 5 years, okay? So just keep that in mind. You wanna make sure that this customer acquisition cost, A, supports that initial spend. So if you're selling a product that is cheaper than $100, but it costs you $100 to get them, you're in trouble. You need to be highly bankrolled. If your LTV is 10,000, it's like, great, over 3 years that evens out, but in the beginning you've got nothing. That's where a lot of softwares get into trouble, is because softwares, essentially their customer acquisition cost is really high, but their LTV is higher, is significantly higher. It just takes time for them to get there. That's why they take all that investment in the beginning, because eventually the numbers start to even out for them. But to put this very simply, you have kind of an infinite money glitch here. If you can get your customer acquisition cost down to how much it costs to service a customer, which is, let's just call it that first spend. If you can get this down below that, you have an infinite money glitch. If you sell a product that's $400 and your customer acquisition cost is 100, and maybe it costs you another 100 to fulfill on that, you have an infinite money glitch. All you have to do is run cash through that funnel and you'll make as much as you freaking want. And if you're a bit bigger, consider your LTV when you do that. Awesome take, Kevin. I love it. Next. All right, we've got our girl, Leila Hormozi, fired up about this. She always has good takes.
How do you build a culture where people can come to you and tell you stuff that you don't want to hear?
You don't punish them when they do. You thank them. Leaders who get angry at people who tell them about problems are leaders who will not hear about problems after that. And leaders who don't know about problems build businesses based on false premises, which usually fail. When somebody defaults to anger, what I've seen is that you just get a room full of yes men because they feel defeated giving you the bad news. So then all they do is give you the good news and they tell you, yeah, you're right. Behind closed doors, they tell everyone else why they think you're wrong.
Yes, yes, and yes, Leila, I love this because ultimately, oftentimes people do just want to get feedback that they want to hear from their people, whether it's from their clients or from their people. The most delusional business owners I know will have businesses that are on fire, and then they'll be talking about how much people love working with them. And I'm like, man, very impressive that you're continuing to scale here, but I'll tell you right now, your business is on fire. But they're surrounding themselves with yes men that make them feel better about what they're doing, which I'm sure helps them sleep at night, but ultimately the business kind of sucks. And you're creating a culture where you're teaching people not to actually support the business. You're teaching them to cater to you, which is gross, okay? Whether you're a leader or whether you're a business owner, you don't want people to make you feel better. You want people to work on your business to make it better, okay? So that it can be better for everybody as a whole. I cannot stress enough that if you are a business owner or if you are a leader within a business, getting your mindset, getting your vision off of how can I work with other people to make myself feel better and thinking how can I work together to make this thing that we're doing better, it'll change your life. It's called having an outward mindset versus an inward mindset, okay? Look into that. The Arbinger Institute has incredible content on that. Love this, Leila. Great take. Next.
This might be a hard watch for some people, but small businesses can be their own worst enemy. Like this morning, it's a Friday morning. I said, let me go get coffee. I forgot to make my iced coffee last night. I'm just gonna go buy it, okay? Trying not to support chains, so I said, let me find a small business around here. I look up the first one. They're open from 10 to 2 only. Well, I start work at 7 in the morning, so that's not gonna work. Sounds good. Cool, let me look up another one. Closed on Fridays and Sundays. Yeah, two of like the busiest days for most coffee shops, especially on Sunday, you're gonna be closed. Find a fourth one. I said, okay, this menu looks good. We're rocking with it. They have a little online checkout, so I go to put in my order. I get a black coffee with cold foam on top. That's it, nothing in it, and it was $12. It's awful, and you might have to sacrifice convenience. But if you want your small business to really take off, you might have to start accommodating to your customers. And I just like, this is my frustration, because as much as I want to support these small businesses, they kind of make it impossible.
Okay, so I think this is a fair take, but I also have a counterpoint here too. So fair take in the sense that if the motivator for the business owner that's like, I don't want to work until 10 a.m., I went into business by myself, so I'm not working until, if the motivator is selfish, then for sure, yeah, I 100% agree. You got to put in some sweat, build this thing up, and let it serve the community well. Totally agree. However, I think what Chloe W. Potter here might not be considering is that she might not be the target demographic for these businesses, where it's like, oh my gosh, they charge $12. It's like, maybe they're charging $12 because there's a certain group of people they want to cater to. Like Erewhon, people will brag about going and getting the Hailey Bieber smoothie from Erewhon because it's $25 or whatever it is. That's because it's their target. Is it worth $25? And people are like, yes, it tastes so good. It's like, guys, it is probably a $2 smoothie. It probably is. They're pricing it at that point because they're trying to attract a certain demographic. So there could be a case here for her where she's just going into these places that she wants to be the demographic for these places, but she's just not. Coffee shop opens at 10 a.m. What are they talking about? It's like, well, maybe they just work with busy moms that want to just hit their midday or something like that. So depends is what I'll say. First and foremost, yes, if you're making business decisions based on your own personal convenience, get out of your head and start going and building your business and sweat, okay? But if that was a decision based on what your target demographic is, then awesome. Then Chloe's gonna complain about you online, but if you're hitting your normal target demographic, then you're totally fine. Next.
The clients that wreck your business never start out rude. They start with urgency. They start with discounts. They start with, this should be quick. Then they ignore your process. They want exceptions. They want shortcuts. They want just this once. And before you know it, they're asking the most questions, complaining the loudest, paying the slowest, and draining your team's energy. Cheap clients aren't cheap. They cost time. They cost morale. They cost systems. The most expensive clients are always the ones you were afraid to say no to.
This is so good. This is so, what is this? $0 Oh my gosh, dude. That is such a good take. And he's absolutely right. The worst clients I've ever had, they don't start out mean. And what I'll tell you is, I don't know if I've ever had a bad client. I've had one client that I was like, no, this is such a toxic, bad relationship. I need you out of here. However, just about 100% of any client that we've ever even churned has come back to us in some manner down the road. But those clients that are stressful to your team never start out as stressful. They start out as, oh, can we get this done really fast? 100% of the clients that I have ever had that have tried to rush our timelines have been so difficult for our team to work with, because they try to rush us and then they try to rush 90 other people. And then guess who's the bottleneck? Them, because they weren't well planned. So generally, you got to take those red flags as, oh, this person does not run their business very well in the first place. Sometimes when a client is hyper loud, sometimes there's a red flag of like, maybe there's things that aren't being run very well in the back end here, and you're signing up to be a part of that, okay? Such a good take. I love this. Next.
You should absolutely have a second website. So you have your main website for your brand. This is where you sell your products or offer services. And then you have a second website that's not affiliated with your brand at all and just serves as a resource for your industry. We have 4 clients that are doing this right now, and it's incredibly effective. We're about to start helping another client build their second website, and so I just want to talk about how we plan to do it. Despite what you might have heard recently, blog posts are the most effective form of digital marketing right now. Blog posts are the easiest way to rank and the easiest way to affect the responses from large language models.
True.
Having a second website gives you one more place that you can post blog posts to. And because it's a third-party resource without a direct affiliation with your brand, it carries a lot more weight when it ultimately recommends you as the solution. It carries more weight with your human readers, but more importantly, it carries more weight with the AI. And as we move into a world where pretty much all recommendations come from AI, this is incredibly powerful.
This is a really, really cool idea. I haven't done this. I think this is really, I'm probably going to do this today. This is so sick. I think this is an excellent idea. What I have done is, I think having a personal website is also really effective. So like JaredRohrer.com does pretty well for our business as well. I see tons of referral traffic coming to our main website from JaredRohrer.com on a regular basis. But having a brand X website that you're just constantly posting to is pretty stinking cool. And now I'm really chewing on how I could do that for myself and for my clients. I love this take. Great job, TJ Robertson 52. Next.
This right here is marketing 101. The more choices you give to a customer, the more anxiety you introduce to the buying process. And an anxious customer does not buy. If you sell coffee, don't make people choose roast, size, origin, grind, frequency, subscription, all before they get to the checkout. Instead, simplify it. Start with one question like how many cups of coffee do you drink in a day? Then automatically recommend the right size, the right subscription, and let them choose the grind. You can still leave the one-time buyer subscription option, but now you've removed the decision anxiety. Some brands love to brag about how they have something for everyone, but sometimes that means when you have an option for everyone, you start selling something to no one. Between 7 different style options, 10 plus colorways, 3 different fits, tons of sizes in your inseam, by the time you pick all that, you've decided that you need to do more research into what jeans you should buy. Because here's the truth. Choices create anxiety. And humans hate anxiety. If you don't believe me, go ask your spouse the blanket question, where should we go out to eat tonight? And watch how long that takes. Then say to them, should we get Mexican or Italian? And that decision will be made in less than 10 seconds. If you limit choices and limit anxiety, you will increase conversions. That is marketing 101.
Great take. Not marketing 101 though. This is sales 101. Marketing 101 is how do you get attention to those pages. Sales 101 is how do you convert that attention into a customer. So great take though. I'm not disagreeing here. I don't want you to think that was marketing. Marketing is how do you get attention. Sales is how do you turn that attention into cash, which is exactly what he's saying, is how do you create a more frictionless sales and checkout process, or how do you create a more frictionless offer so that people actually buy? And so I would say this is definitely digital sales 101 and sales in general 101. The more that you reduce that offering, the better. Especially with like med spas that I work with, they will add and add and add every new sexy service because they think, oh my gosh, I have to do the brand newest thing. I have to add this into our menu. And they just get this Frankenstein's monster of a menu when really they should be selling one thing, which is an outcome. They should sell the treatment plan every year. And that's the one thing that they sell. And then they, curate all the things into that treatment plan to get the person the outcome that they want. So disagree, not marketing. It is sales 101, but I do absolutely agree with the premise. This is awesome. Next.
This is why stories work for marketing and sales. It helps people engage that part of their brain that can simulate a potential future that looks and feels really great and start to anticipate it, get excited about it. Like when you're selling a car, on the sales side of the spectrum, rule number 1 is get the potential customer in the driver's seat of that car as quickly as possible. Nothing else matters. You want them to engage in the process of driving and imagining as quickly as possible, because that's when they start to convince themselves that this is something that they might want to have in their life. So anything that you can do to engage those kind of simulation, prediction sort of processes, the better.
It really does say something about our brains. And, in my book, I kind of reference the political elections as well as an interesting lens to think through, because Trump is very good at painting pictures.
Yes.
Very vivid, emotional pictures of things. And I highlight a particular instance that I was told about on this podcast by Tali Sharot, where one of his competitors in a debate started explaining that this particular vaccine doesn't give children autism and presented the science. And then Trump presented an anecdote, and the neuroscientist sat with me, said, even though she knows the truth, the anecdote was significantly more compelling.
Sure.
And it caused hesitations even in her to get her child vaccinated. And in there we have, I think, the answer to much of why politics is the way it is at the moment, but also why brands are the way they are, and really how to win as a marketeer or a salesperson. Which is this idea that our brains, for some reason, are much more compelled by story than features, as you say.
Yeah, there's a certain element of, is this a future that I like, or is this congruent with what the world looks like or feels like to me? That can be very compelling.
Yeah, okay, 100%. I completely agree. I think this is an excellent take, and he has a great haircut, this guy. This is a Diary of a CEO podcast. And everything should leave a story, because what happens? Everybody has this view of themselves. They have beliefs about who they are and what's important to them, and they have beliefs about how they should be engaging with the world. And they have already typically decided that they're going to work with your brand, or they've already pre-decided what they're going to do based on the story that they've inserted themselves into. Donald Miller calls this the hero's journey. In fact, I think Donald Miller stole this from other marketing efforts, but the hero's journey is that you should place yourself as the guide in your customer's story and tell that story of how they're going to slay the dragon, how they're going to go and fight the big villain or whatever it is. And you're the guide that helps them get there, and tell them that story of how they can go on and get this amazing outcome for themselves based on your service. So 100% agree. Love this. Next.
I have quite literally had clients invest the equivalent of a down payment on a home into paid advertising and tell me point blank that they could not track a single sale back to it in a 6-month period of time. If you think ads are some magic solution for fixing your sales, you need to watch this video.
Correct.
I don't know who has started up this narrative again that like, oh my God, paid ads is the way to scale your business, but it's pissing me the off. Because here's the thing, I actually believe that ads are a great marketing strategy at the right time in your business. They can be
Correct.
a very powerful tool when it comes to your sales. But much like everything, it's not what you're doing, it's when you're doing it that creates the sales. My client who owned a Australian-based skincare company was the one who came to me who said all of that about ads. And she really didn't have an organic presence when she first started working with me. She was creating content that was designed to go viral, like very surface level, top of funnel content that she could also repurpose for ads. And then she was
Top of funnel, by the way, is your digital sales funnel. I have a video on that I can link here, I think. Let's see if that shows up. A video I can link here on your digital sales funnel. But basically the idea of your funnel is you want to get attention to your business. You want to turn that attention into a lead. You want to turn that lead into a sale. And then you want to turn that sale into an engaged customer over and over and over and recycle them back to the top over and over and over again. And so when they say it's super top of funnel, that's what they're referencing, is they're saying it's something that happens way before the actual sale. Sorry, wanted to give you that break so you knew what she was talking about.
posting very educational content. Like, what is the difference between this skin condition and this skin condition? Like, very educational stuff that people could literally just Google. So she had a ton of visibility, but unfortunately there was nothing in her marketing at that time that basically told people why they had to have her product. The ads just took them to a very basic website product page that had no explanation of the background of their brand, why the product created such incredible results and why they needed it now. And as soon as we started to incorporate some converting organic marketing into their marketing strategy, their sales skyrocketed.
I 100% agree. Oftentimes people will drive tons of traffic to their website or to their landing page or whatever it is, but it's not geared towards conversion. And they think they just deserve the sale because they have a good product or because they're really good at what they do. Again, put people into the story and tell them why they should buy from you. I 100% agree. Your sales will skyrocket. And what I'll tell you is that you need to track your data so that you know. So like her point that she made in the very beginning of this is she was like, oh yeah, they didn't know if it was working or not. It's like, you have to track your data to know what's working. So first and foremost, track how many people are actually hitting that website page, and then track what percentage of those people are converting. Then you can identify where the problem is, because it's like, oh, I don't have leads, I need more eyeballs. It's like, actually you have enough eyeballs, the page sucks and it's not converting. If you fix that, you could double your leads without making an extra investment into more eyeballs. So just track your data so that you know what's working and what's not. Next.
Someone says, what do you charge? Never ever say a number. This is what you say. They ask, what do you charge? You say, I would be happy to work within your budget. Why don't we make sure I'm the best fit first, and then I'll be happy to work within your budget. Fair enough.
I don't know if I agree with that take. If someone says, what do you charge? Tell them, and then leave it. No insecurity, no nothing. Hey, what do you charge? I charge this. And they say, oh, that's expensive. It's like, yeah, that is expensive. You're right. Why do you think it's expensive? Why do you think I'm 3 times more expensive than anybody else in my industry? Probably because you're way better. Possibly because I'm really confident in the outcome that I can create for you. And anybody who's charging a lot less, you know, typically they're just a little more insecure about the outcome that they're creating for you. I know that I can create that outcome for you. I don't think I would do this, but if expert speaker, you're welcome to give me your take on this. Thanks. Next, let's see.
Stop throwing birthday parties. Throw a mastermind event instead. Masterminds are tax deductible. If you're bringing your group of friends together, we should be talking about revenue generating activities. You're still gonna have alcohol there, you can still have music there, and instead of just talking about how you're gonna party and get turned up, we're gonna talk about how we're actually gonna make the money, help each other, and push our ideas into the world and into the marketplace. This is how you're able to leverage the tax system while still having fun and turn around and get write-offs for you and your friends.
This is every single time. I mean, sure, go ahead. And I mean, maybe you're gonna reduce your tax bill a little bit. I don't know how big of a party you're gonna be throwing here. If it's $1 million party, I just think you're gonna get audited. So much of the advice that I hear from this guy is just stuff that I'm like, I think you're just gonna raise red flags for the IRS to audit. They're gonna say, what was this? Oh, it was a mastermind. It's like, really? Why did you need this DJ for that mastermind? Oh, it was, you know, it was for vibes. It's like, you bought a lot of alcohol for that mastermind. It's like, yeah. And you got birthday presents. What is this? You know, it's like, I don't know. I think don't. Just don't listen to this crap. My kids' birthday parties are coming up, so I'm going to cordially invite their friends to my son's 3rd mastermind. Disagree. Next.
How do you measure ROI in marketing, especially when you do branded content?
Okay, let me ask you a question. What's the ROI of your mother?
What?
It's basically a sentence from Gary Vee that translates.
I'm gonna use. I'm sorry. I'm gonna use that. Oh my god. I'm gonna do that for any objection that I ever get from a client from here on in. Oh my god. Man, that got me. Oh my gosh. I'm sure he's about to make a really good point. What's the ROI of marketing? What's the ROI of your mother? Oh, yeah, baby. Let's bring back yo mama. Let's bring back yo mama jokes. Okay, sorry. I know he's probably about to make a really good point, but that's such a crazy response.
It's basically a sentence from Gary Vee that translates into not everything is measurable. So marketing, in my opinion, is all about building enough trust and awareness so people can buy your product or service. But not every action is measurable in marketing, and the way people buy nowadays is extremely complex. Some people might have seen a post from one of the employees, went on their LinkedIn profile, so the company visited the website and eventually purchased. So marketing attribution is so complex that often I feel like it's a waste of time to invest that many resources into attribution. So sometimes I feel like it's better to use these resources to create better content and more awareness.
I 100% agree. That's a great point. The premise is so funny. I've got to use that. I 100% agree. Marketing attribution is very difficult to track properly. But here's what I'll tell you. For example, I've posted, I think 45 times a week for the last 90 days straight, and my lead intake tripled, okay? From doing that. I was posting maybe a couple times a month before that, and none of those leads came through social media. They all came through referral partners. Why is that? That's because when I was getting a bunch of business from these referral partners, and those referral partners were sending leads over to me. What was happening is that those referral partners were seeing my content, and then one of their clients were reaching out to them. Who should I go to for marketing? Who is the person that those referral partners can only think of? Your boy. I'm the only one that's thinking of it. I'm top of mind. And so if you have people that are referring you business all the time, you'll say, oh, it's all word of mouth. It's all word of mouth. And it's like, well, actually, it's probably social and e-blasts and text blasts that are firing up your existing net promoters, the people that are promoting your business. It's firing them up to tell all their friends about you. So I agree. Marketing attribution is really tough. But here's what I will say. When your business is sub 1 million, I would just focus on leads as much as you can. If your business is sub 1 million, focus on activities that just directly generate leads as much as you can, because you just need butts and seats. And then as you scale from there, worry about a lot more brand presence marketing efforts, because then you can start measuring your cadence and success. So I would just say in the very beginning of your business, it is important to just say, did that thing get me a lead? Because you don't have the luxury of time typically, unless you have lots of money, but if you usually don't have the luxury of time to wait to see if that thing actually worked. So I would just say in the very beginning of your business, focus on lead generating marketing efforts that you do have direct correlation to them. And then once you pass about 1 million, then yes, focus on much more brand exposure that's fueling the entire marketing engine, because that is going to be important, because you are not going to be able to scale past 1 million, 2 million with just lead generating activities. You are going to have this massive cost per lead and cost per acquisition that you won't be able to sustain. Just like we talked about in the beginning of the video, full circle, okay, with that CAC, is if you are highly focused on just lead acquisition, your acquisition cost is super high typically, or it's higher. And when you have these nice organic processes like this young man's talking about, your acquisition cost goes way down. It's just harder to directly measure it. So once you hit that million mark, once you hit that 750, 800,000, a million mark in revenue, start focusing pretty heavily on those other attributing factors that can drive more attention, because your cost per acquisition is going to go way down, way down. Cool. I think that's the last one. Hey, if you loved this, send it to a friend who needs to learn about customer acquisition costs. I don't know. Send it to a friend that you think would enjoy this. Leave a comment down below. If you're struggling with something that one of these videos talked about, would love to hear about it. Would love to give you my 2 cents down in the comments. I respond to every single comment right now. We are not that big of a channel, so we have the luxury of being able to respond to everybody for the most part. So throw it down below. Would love to hear your thoughts, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.